This is Ross Feingold on the Taiwan Hashtag program, hosted by the Storm Media Group, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan. Today we're joined by a very special guest. For the first time, a Taiwan politician has accepted an invitation to come on Taiwan Hashtag and face the tough questions. Our special guest today is Chen Kuan-ting, Deputy Spokesperson for the Taipei City Government, headed by Mayor Wen-je. Kuan-ting, welcome to Taiwan Hashtag.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today. It's a great honor.
Thanks. Now, congratulations on the mayor winning re-election last November in Taiwan's local election. Why did the voters of Taipei City re-elect the mayor? What is it about the mayor's first term that earned him a second term?
I think Mayor Ke is focusing on develop, not to grow the city. So good governance instills a sense of pride for the citizens of Taipei. There are some successes so far. For example, the 2017 University, it was a great game. Mayor gave a great speech. It inspired people of Taipei. People of Taipei cheered with the athletes. Even the president herself gave a great speech as well.
Yeah, and I attended some of those events. The university games were a great success as far as promoting Taiwan internationally. The events went very smoothly. The facilities, they were all open on time, and I think most of the visitors were happy with the facilities as well. So, yeah, generally speaking, this was a very successful event.
It was mission impossible, but he managed.
Became mission successful.
Yes, thank you very much for that. Also, have you been working on the street in Taipei? Oh, definitely, right?
Yeah, of course, walk around the streets, yeah.
Have you seen the green zone side work?
Yeah, there are these pedestrian walkways. Tell us a bit about these pedestrian walkways.
It increased safety of pedestrians. These are small things, right?
Small
things matter. Yeah. I talk with some diplomats and entrepreneurs. They feel safer to work on the street in Taipei. You don't have to worry about scooters behind you because there is a green zone. These small things, again, matter. Also, have you seen the nose gate just right next to the Taipei station?
Mm-hmm.
It's a
North Gate, Beimen in Mandarin, yeah.
Yeah, Beimen, as a historical site. So the mayor was trying to revitalizing historical sites such as Beimen, Dihua Street, Bopiliao. These historical sites help to connect Taipei City citizens to Taipei City and its rich history and culture.
It's interesting you say that because we tend to think of Mayor Ke as a medical doctor, a surgeon, but you're telling us he's also really interested in cultural issues and history.
Well, I am interested in culture and history. So are his staffs. So it's a group. It's a team. We work together. Also, long-term care. We have long-term care center in each and every district of Taipei City. We provide good services for elders. It's sort of his ideology to help the locals, to help the elders, to help the people, instead of thinking other things. Do the small things, do things right.
Yeah, that's one of his sayings, right? He even says it in English, right? He says, do the right thing. Right?
To improve is to change. I think that's Winston Churchill said that, but that's what we have been focusing on. I think it's those daily issues, those daily things that actually touch the citizens' hearts. That's why they decided to give America another chance to continue what he has been doing so far. And that's something we will continue to do in the next 3 years.
You mentioned revitalizing neighborhoods, economic development. There was actually a very large project that was in the news recently here in Taiwan, which was to revitalize some of the neighborhoods around the Taipei train station, and it involved a very large property development. It involved building 2 towers, would have been mixed use, commercial, retail space. And one of the investors in this project was a Hong Kong company, and it was rejected by the central government. So could you tell us a little bit, like, why would the central government step into a project in Taipei City and say, no, you can't do it?
I do not think the central government deliberately tried to embarrass the mayor. But as mayor stated earlier, if you want to veto something, let them know earlier. The domestic or international bidders have to be informed. We worship the idea of transparency. So a project like a National Gateway project, which was 100 billion new Taiwanese dollars.
Yes, it's about $3 billion US dollars.
It's a big project.
Yeah.
So I think we should put more adequate time and efforts on it. Again, I'm not expert on these things, but I just feel they have to be informed before the process begins. It hurts the government's reputation when we would try to develop a region, district, when we opened the bids for international bidders, we wanted to be transparent, we wanted to be opened, and we want everyone who is interested in investing in Taipei to come. So I do not think central government deliberately tried to embarrass the mayor, but I think we could do better next time.
And because that company was from Hong Kong, and there was some speculation that maybe it was vetoed by the central government because of concerns that there was Chinese money behind the company, which brings us to America's China policy, or the way he describes China's relationship with Taiwan. And he's been criticized a bit, both here in Taiwan as well as overseas, because he described it as 兩岸一家親, which means we're two sides of the Taiwan Strait, but we're all one family. Could you help us understand a bit, what does he mean by that? What does America mean when he says that we're two sides of the Taiwan Strait, but we're one family?
First, thank you very much for pulling up this question. I think people deserve to know. We are 130 kilometers away from China, so literally right next door. It's a superpower. I think America just tried to initiate a productive dialogue without having political or legal connotations. It's very difficult. A lot of people try to do that, but not successful. America is not Einstein, so he cannot
well, he's a doctor. He's a really smart guy.
But political environment is very complicated. But I think all he wants to do is having some kind of relationship with China. And it requires time and efforts, and we have to try new things. Again, no legal, no political connotations. And we have students, we have entrepreneurs, we have their families in China. We have strong political and economic ties. Strong economic ties with China. But that does not suggest we will like to adopt their political system. That does not suggest we would like to adopt their legal system. It definitely does not suggest we support their position on Hong Kong issues. America refer one family, just want to maintain certain relationship with China. He's trying. Maybe that's not the best idea, but at least he's tried. Again, one family, that's his term. But his job is as a mayor, he has more things to do. So we should focus on good governance. That's what he's trying to sell. His slogan is good governance, right? But I have to stress one more thing. We cherish our relationship with the United States, United Kingdom, European Unions, and others. That does not, our relationship with China should not undermine the relationship between us and your country, United States. And sometimes our relationship with the United States is even closer than one family. We want their support to help us to get into WHO, Interpol, and other international organizations. We have a lot of cooperations, medical or legal, anything, name it. So that's my statement. I think that's what Mayor is trying to do as well.
You mentioned the United States and the relationship between Taiwan and the United States. The mayor did visit the United States earlier this year. He went to Washington, D.C. and New York and other cities. He met with scholars, people who are experts in China-Taiwan, U.S.-China relations, met with U.S. government officials as well. Generally speaking, how would you describe the knowledge level of these experts in the United States, their knowledge level about Taiwan politics, city governance in Taipei? How would you describe their familiarity with day-to-day events here in Taiwan?
First of all, the officials. I highly respect the officials from State Departments or National Security Council. They are very experienced, well educated, and they did a lot of studies on Mayor, Taipei, and Taiwan. So on that part, I really respect them. They inform us about many important issues, and their stance on East Asian affairs is very good for us to know as well. For the scholars, they are well educated, but I think there's a distance between the United States and Taiwan. There's time zone difference, even time zone difference. So
that's why they should watch this show, right?
Yeah. I mean, we need to if people want to know more about Taiwan, I think they should ask, for example, advisors like you to provide consultancy for them, because you are here for like 30 years, right? You started
Thanks
here.
Thanks for reminding us.
Thank you. You started here, you engaged with politicians, officials like myself. So I think, yes, I respect them, but I think we need more than that. So I I really hope we would have more of these kind of engagements with them, with you as well. It does help to improve our mutual understandings.
Of course, when Mirabeau was in the United States earlier this year, there was a lot of speculation that he might run for president. And over the course of 2019, there was speculation that Terry Go Tai-ming of Foxconn might run for president as well. You know, without talking about Mirabeau or Terry Go specifically and why there was interest in them, but what I'd like to ask you is, why was there so much interest, maybe 25, 30% of the voters, in a third party or an independent candidate? Why is that percentage, like 1/3 of the voters, looking for something different? They didn't like the DPP candidate, which is the incumbent, President Tsai. They didn't like the Kuomintang candidate, maybe Han Kuo-yu, the mayor of Kaohsiung. Well, why do so many voters still want something different?
I think they want their choice because they want to address different things beyond cross-strait policies. There are many other things we have to address in Taiwan. For example, environmental policy, fiscal policy, deregulations, even labor laws. These are things we have to address now. Energy crisis back last year in August, I guess. I mean, these are things we have to, think about. We have to do something about it instead of just discussing about cross-strait policy. I think it's very important, but people want some candidates or some other parties to bring up things that actually have a great impact to their daily lives. And I think that's the reason why Mayor, have his own party, Taiwan's People's Party. It's just trying to address daily issues. I know it's small things, but small things matter. He is trying to figure out a new way out.
It's interesting you say that, because ultimately neither Mirabeau, Wen-je, or Terry Go Tai-ming decided to run for president. Annette Lu Xiulian, a former vice president, decided she would run for president, but she's not focusing on the issues you talked about, right? She's talking about Taiwan neutrality, and she's been endorsed by a party that's focused more on Taiwan identity issues. So ultimately, how come there is not a candidate, an independent or a third-party candidate who joined the race to talk about all those day-to-day quality of life issues? Why ultimately did nobody join? Whether it was Wen-je or Go Tai-ming or some other prominent personality, why did no one ultimately step in and say, I'm going to be the candidate who's going to focus on those issues?
Not yet. I believe in the future there will be some. But so far, the Hong Kong crisis, I think people, their attentions have been consumed on these things already. So maybe in the future, maybe for the parliamentary elections, we could address these issues. And I believe there are some member of parliament candidates who are interested in addressing these issues. And I personally encourage them to do so.
Well, that's a really interesting point, that maybe some of these candidates for the parliament or legislative UN, they're going to focus on these issues and not cross-strait policy and Taiwan identity kind of issues. And that'll bring us to our final question, which is, because we have a lot of foreigners in the audience watching our program, what's some things that you would want people outside Taiwan, foreigners, to just understand better about Taiwan politics? What's a message you want to give to an overseas audience? Here's something you really need to keep in mind about Taiwan politics, maybe something that they didn't think about or don't know, or maybe they have some stereotypes about Taiwan politics that are incorrect. So what's a couple of things you just want people outside Taiwan to know about Taiwan's politics?
Taiwan is complex. It's very complicated. I think not just foreigners, I myself and Taiwanese people need to understand that too. But just for the advisors, I think they should understand the culture, especially the language, because they have to understand Mandarin in order to understand what we are discussing or we are fighting for, right? I think people like yourself, advisors and a lawyer who spent 3 decades in Taiwan, who actually engage with the different, I mean, not just official, but also locals, students, entrepreneurs, business environment. I mean, you are exposed to this environment, so you know more, sometimes more than I do. Yes.
Thank you.
So I would encourage them to, talk with advisors that spend here for like long time. It will be more helpful. Yeah, that's just my personal idea. I hope this helps.
Yeah. It's an excellent piece of advice. A lot of people outside Taiwan talk about Taiwan, and they're not here. Right? They're not engaging day to day with the people, and not just high-level government officials. But as you said, you need to talk to entrepreneurs, students, and a broader cross-section to understand what is, as Kuan-ting said, a very complex society. And I agree with you. And I've been here several decades, and it's still very complex to me. You've been watching Taiwan Hashtag. We've been joined by a deputy spokesperson of the Taipei City Government, Chen Kuan-ting. Thank you, Chen Kuan-ting.
Thank you very much.